Landscapes of Maharashtra are breathtakingly beautiful during monsoons. The hills would be dry most time of the year and lush green during the monsoon. This is the second day of our trekking through these mountain ranges, which are rich in waterfalls, plain meadows and flowering valleys. We started from Nashik yesterday morning, reached the Harihar fort by evening and then camped on the top of the fort. Today, we will descend the Harihar fort and move to the base village of Kalsubai Peak, which is the highest peak in Maharashtra. Now it is misty in Harihar fort. It was raining heavily here last night. As the rain stopped, the temperature started to lower. Outside the tent, this is how it looked like. The whole area is covered in thick mist. We can't see anything beyond a few meters. The tea shop nearby opened in the early morning itself. Let's have a cup of tea from here. Though it has been a long since the sun has risen, it is only now the sun rays started to warm the top of the fort. We are getting ready to descend the fort. Without taking long, we started to roll back our tent. From here, we have to walk over the top of the fort to reach the other side. Then descend the rocky pinnacle and then a 4-kilometer trekking to Nirgudapada. From Nirgudapada, we have to reach Trimbak in a shared jeep, then to Ghoti by bus and then to Bari village, which is the base of Kalsubai Peak. This is the plan for the day. Even though the distance to cover today is short, lack of public transport through these routes is a big concern. We are on the way to the other side of the fort. Who wouldn't wish to take a walk on a misty mountain top in the early morning, in the company of enchanting coolness and light breeze? No matter how far you walk like this, you won't get tired. It's a weekend and many trekkers have reached the fort in the morning itself. After some time, it may be crowded. Then we have to line up for hours to get a chance to climb down the rocky pinnacle in the fort. The same will be the condition at Kalsubai Peak as well, where we are going tomorrow. During the monsoon, many people from various states visit this peak to experience this adventure. This is helpful for villagers also. The villagers arrange food and shelter for the trekkers on demand, and they also make a small income from this. Now we are waiting for a group to climb the pinnacle by enjoying the distant view of Harishwarwadi village in the valley. Even though the sun has risen, the nearby peak is still covered in the thick mist. When it rains, we can see many waterfalls on this hill, and when the rain stops, the waterfall disappears. Now we are getting down from the fort. While descending the fort, the first part is not challenging. However, the steps are narrow here. Also, there are no holes here where we can hold on to it. In some places, the steps are steepy, the stairs are wet and slippery, so it will be more difficult to descend the fort than climbing it. To reach the bottom, we have to get down through these wet steps carved on the rock. Each step has a different shape. Their height also varies. While ascending the pinnacle through these steps, we can see the next step to make a move. But while descending, we can see the steps below us. So we have to stretch our legs down and take the next step. Some of our fellow trekkers were wondering if it was a bad decision to climb the pinnacle. The biggest mistake is doing treks on running shoes. Here, the steps are carved by keeping a handrail on the edge, so we can move here comfortably. The next group is climbing the pinnacle now. We are waiting for them to reach the top by enjoying the astonishing view of the nearby hills and valleys. After waiting at the gate for a while, we got a chance to get down. This is the most dangerous part during the descent. You can hold on to small holes in the rock. My bag is slipping over the rock now, so I'm very careful while making each step here. Finally, we reached the bottom of this rocky pinnacle. The dangerous parts are over. After descending from the top of it, sitting here gives you a special feeling. The feeling of overcoming the fears and challenges during the treks like this, and finally standing at the bottom of it. We are really enjoying this moment. Once again, I have conquered the Harihar Fort. There is a small rock patch at the bottom of this pinnacle. All those who are afraid to climb the pinnacle have already sat here waiting for their companions to get down. This rock patch also offers an astonishing view of the surrounding valleys. The mist has moved away from the valley. We can see Nirgudapada village from here. Beyond that, the parts of Vaitarna Dam in the distance. The world surrounding is full of lush green hills and valleys. But while enjoying the view from here, you have to be very careful of these monkeys too. They may snatch your bags and run away. Now we are bidding goodbye to Harihar Fort. We don't feel like going back home. The view from the top of the fort is stunning. With no rain today, the valley is breathtaking. Beautiful Nirgudapada village on our left side and Hareshwarwadi village on the other side. Those who come here in their own vehicle and private taxis reach the fort from Hareshwarwadi. We can see a lot of vehicles in the village now. Those who come by shared jeeps start climbing this hill from the Nirgudapada village. We are now returning to Nirgudapada only. From there, we have to get a shared jeep or hitchhike to Trimbak and then to Bari village by evening. While climbing this hill yesterday, we took a break here having coffee. Today in the morning, we started descending after having only a cup of tea. The fort may be crowded after a while. Then we had to wait for a long time to get a chance to get down through the pinnacle. That's why we started descending only with a cup of tea in the morning. Now we are hungry. Let's make coffee and Maggie now before climbing down further to the valley. In the meantime, this group has surrounded us. There are also villagers who rear them. These cattle are the main sources of the income for these villagers. After a break, we started climbing down the hill. We are past the Harihar Fort now. It's a bright sunny day. Yesterday, while climbing this hill, the whole valley was surrounded in the mist. Now the mist has cleared and the valley is clearly visible. Nirgudapada is at the foot of the hill. Very beautiful views from here. But today we are sweating well. Washing the face in these streams is really refreshing. Water flowing in the stream is less as there is no rain today. Now we are heading to Nirgudapada, which is around 1.5 kilometers from here. The initial part of the way is through the bushes. After that, the pathway is surrounded by green paddy fields. Here, the paddy is cultivated in small plots. After the monsoon, all these places will be quickly dried up. Then they wait for the next monsoon. This man is plowing his land here. These farmers still use traditional methods for farming. Tractors are not widely used here to plow the lands. We can see traditional farming tools and accessories in most of these homes in these villages. We are getting closer to the village. Houses can be seen in the distance. The palm trees on the ridge make this landscape beautiful. A beautiful village like a picture drawn on a canvas. On reaching the village, the path is full of mud and cow dung. Yesterday, it was very difficult for us to walk over here. As the sky is cleared, the mud on the road has dried up. Most of these houses here are made of hot bricks. The mud-walled huts could be still seen in these villages. Now in houses, the roof tiles have been replaced by aluminium sheets. The only plastered building in this village is the newly started school here. The school has reopened here and classes have started after COVID. Students from these villages don't have enough facilities for online classes. We passed the village and reached the main road. From here, we have to get a shared jeep to reach Trimbak and then to Ghoti. We hope we will get a bus or jeep from Ghoti to Bari village even if we got late to reach Ghoti. From here, we can see the hills where we came from and the Harihar fort above it. While going up yesterday, the whole area was covered in the thick mist and we couldn't see the fort from here. It has been an hour. We are waiting here for a jeep. Jeeps and summers are occasionally coming towards the opposite side and no vehicle towards Trimbak. Vehicles may be less as it is a late afternoon, so we are also trying to get a chance to hitchhike to Trimbak. In the meanwhile, the weather changed suddenly and it started raining. Now the fort has disappeared again in the mist. We are waiting for the next vehicle, enjoying the beautiful hills around this village. After waiting more than an hour, we got a pickup to Trimbak. We hope to reach Bari village before sunset. The views along the way to Trimbak are also scenic. The path is covered with grass on both sides. Occasionally, small hills, lakes, and villages in their laps. However, the road is in very bad condition. It is a bit of hassle to capture these stunning views from the truck. When we said we are going to Ghoti now, the driver told us to get off at a junction 7 kilometers before Trimbak. All buses from Trimbak to Ghoti pass through this junction. So we decided to get down there instead of going to Trimbak town. After a while, a big mountain appeared in the distance. The view of the mountain came closer and cleared as we got closer to it. Misty clouds are flowing below the peaks of this mountain. Going a little further, we started seeing another mountain on the right of it. On the top of that, we can see a big steep rocky pinnacle. This is part of the Navaranaviri fort near Trimbak. The famous Brahmagiri hills are also close to it. As you approach, parts of the fort rise like a huge wall in front of us. Now we have reached the junction where we have to get down. We traveled in this track to reach here. The view from here is spectacular. We are surrounded by steep hills. The mist has covered the top of the hills. There are huge rock patches on the top of these mountains. Seeing those views for a while, we got a bus to Ghoti. From the bus, we can see the other side of the Navaranavri fort. The Ghat road from Trimbak to Ghoti passes around this hill. The greenery is still visible wherever you go along this route. Going a little further, we came across parts of Vaitrana Dam and the nearby Mukne Reservoir. We reached Ghoti town by 3 o'clock. After waiting for more than an hour here, we got a shared jeep to Bari village. Vehicles that go from here to Bandardara and Rajur pass through the Bari village only. After an hour's journey through bumpy roads, we have now reached Bari village. The village is located a short distance from the main road. We bought some eggs for the night from the nearest shop, and now we are walking to the village looking for a place to pitch our tent. We started seeing the house on the way to the village, a traditional farming village in the lap of Kalsubai. All the houses look the same. Beyond that, the Kalsubai hills stand like a mountain. Only half of the mountain is visible from here. The rest is hidden in the mist. It was then we noticed a stream flowing on the side of the village. Maybe we can take a bath tonight from the stream. In the Bari village, all the houses are located on 2 hills. Today, we are going to camp on the terrace of this house. Right now, we are making porridge and omelets for the dinner. Tomorrow, we are going to explore Kalsubai Peak, which is the highest peak in Maharashtra. You can also watch the traditional lifestyle of Bari village, stunning views on the way to Kalsubai Peak, and panoramic sceneries from the peak in the coming episodes.